もしやコスモでは。
Cosmo needs me free.
Cosmo AP Luxury Sports.
Now that the housings and irons are ported, all I need to do is tap a few holes, clean them again, blast them, and then paint them. Then after the paint is dry, the engine can be assembled. I drilled out the stock coolant feed in the rear iron and am now carefully tapping it for 1/4 inch NPT. This is for the turbo coolant feed. You have to go really, really careful if you're doing this because you will crack the rear iron. Ask me how I know. It took about an hour of really slow tapping, but I now have a 1/4 inch NPT fitting for a turbo water feed. This is a Series 4 NA water pump housing. I'm using it because it's aluminum and it handles a newer style water pump, which is easier to get. So in order to use it here, I need to tap one of the holes for 3/8 NPT for a coolant temperature sensor, and then tap the stock manifold coolant feed for 1/4 inch NPT to fit the turbo oil or turbo water feed. Test fitting fits. And the 1/4 inch NP test fitting fits. One oddity about using a newer water pump housing on an older engine is that the older engines don't have this stud on the block. So this hole ends up going into the water jacket. So to solve that issue, I'm tapping this side for 1/8 inch NPT, and then I'll put a pipe plug in it and some epoxy over the hole. Then the other side needs to be tapped for a bolt to secure the water pump, and I'll tap that for like M10 or something. And this side I'm tapping for M10 by 1.25 because this hole is needed to bolt the water pump down and also the alternator. And after porting, everything has to go through the parts washer again to remove all the porting grit and leftover grease. This is the last time they'll be washed before they're blasted slightly and then painted. Yet more cleaning. The cleaning of all the parts after they were ported took about 5 hours, and I wasn't going to subject anybody to watching that again. So this is the last part, the water pump housing. After this, I will mask all the stuff, blast it, and then give it a paint job. I'm masking the edges with this strong black Gorilla Tape to protect them while I blast. But the majority of the face of the irons I'll just mask with regular old duct tape. I just want to keep the blast media from hitting the machine surfaces of the irons, and I figure the Gorilla Tape will hold up better on the edges because it's much stickier than the duct tape. I'm trying not to leave very many ragged edges or overhangs that the blast media can grab. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal because I'm going to blast at a very low pressure and I'm going to use glass beads, but I still don't want it tearing off in the middle of the process. If you do this, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to cut yourself fairly seriously with the razor blade at least once. I've been lucky so far, but it's only a matter of time. And that's all done. So I'm turning the camera off for now because I'm sure nobody wants to watch me do 2 hours of this, and I'll turn the camera back on when I'm ready to blast. I'm blasting the engine parts with crushed glass before I paint them. Glass beads won't remove heavy rust and other nasties, but they do clean a surface and texturize it, giving it a perfect tooth for paint to adhere. The paint I'm using is POR15 engine enamel. The irons are getting painted black, while the rotor housings are getting painted sort of a natural aluminum color. Done. Now I have to wait 24 hours to do the next coat. This is the third and final coat of the engine stuff.
And this is the last coat that I have to do in silver as well. The silver is really hard to spray without getting run. The metallic shows every little bit of imperfection.
Well, I've now done 3 coats of silver and 3 coats of black, so the only thing to do now is, I guess, just sit down and watch the paint dry. Oh, spam! Add 6 inches instantly to your penis. What the hell would I do with an 18-inch penis?
It's called weird shit like Moonlight or Providence or
Wow, this Gorilla Tape is strong. Probably why it's called Gorilla Tape and not Puppy Tape.
yeah. Butterfly tape.
It's a unicorn tape. Just cleaning the tape goo off with brake cleaner. All the engine stuff now gets one final cleaning with just good old soap and water. This final cleaning is just to remove any blast media that may have found its way into the engine parts. It would suck to fire up a fresh engine only to have a bunch of glass beads go through the oil passages. Everything's been washed and been thoroughly blown dry. Now it all gets placed in storage Tupperware to keep it clean. Well, I guess the only thing left to do now is build an engine.